The college basketball experience. Which WCC teams will have the most success after realignment? Edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8 challenge. Sign up today using the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 bonus in cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Build your betting sports model using the AI betting engine. Claim your 7-day free trial by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM today. And welcome, everybody, to the college basketball experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Monday, July the 8th. Off-season's rolling along. November 4th. We'll be here before you know it. We got a special edition. We're starting a new series here where we're talking a little bit realignment with the new fiscal year in college athletics starting July 1. But first, if you're wondering who you are listening to, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. Also known as Mac tonight over here at the College Basketball Experience, and I am not flying solo tonight. Finally, I could talk to somebody rather than myself and yelling at the audience. Well, I mean, you guys know this guy. I mean, he's on the College Basketball Experience every single night in the season while we're picking every game. He's behind the scenes at TCE. He is the host of the College Baseball Experience, and he's fresh off another Omaha run, a great year over at the College Baseball Experience. The one and only LeBaron driving Noah Bieniek. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Mac? And yeah, I've been super excited to jump into the off-season streets. Preseason college football, yes, but also Mac doing a bunch of solo pods. I was just itching to get onto the college basketball experience and be able to, chop it up with him and give him somebody to just talk on the mic to, on most nights that he's doing this show. So yeah, I think we've got some fresh ideas that we're going to implement here throughout the summer days that I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I told you guys, we've had some things brewing around the corner, and this was one of the ones. We do have another coaches series dropping tomorrow, so make sure you subscribe to all channels. Coach Ryan Peden of the Illinois State Redbirds in the Missouri Valley. But we are talking WCC here tonight. And Noah, for those that live under a rock, they keep everyone, so that's a plus. But they add two premier programs. The Pac-2 joins the WCC next year. The Beavers, the Cougs. I don't know. What's your thoughts? I mean, this is kind of the rare one where you gain a couple teams, but you don't lose any.
Yeah, and I think for the WCC, it definitely is a little bit of a plus that they get some bigger brands into the conference. Unfortunately, for the sport of basketball, these two specific schools aren't the best in this sport, unfortunately, for the WCC. But I do think that it just helps the conference continue to grow both monetization wise and also in intention, because you had all those eyeballs on Washington State and Oregon State in the Pac-12, and now some people are going to be interested in seeing how they perform here in the WCC, specifically with. So I think more of the storylines going into next year are with Washington State. They're experiencing a little bit of turnover after winning a game in the NCAA tournament last year. Mac, what's your thoughts on the Cougs going into year one under, former head, David Riley, the former head coach of Eastern Washington?
Yeah, I mean, so he fell victim to what many mid-major guys happen to them, where they have a lot of success. They win 20 plus games in the regular season, and then they choke in the postseason tournament, and everybody forgets about them. People don't know that Eastern Washington won the Big Sky back-to-back years, and honestly were dominant. They, however, lost to the 10th seed back-to-back years, once at the buzzer, and then last year, I don't think it was at the buzzer. I remember Northern Arizona 2 years ago hitting a half-court shot to beat them. Last year, I want to say it was the Bengals that got it done against them, Idaho State. Yeah, so they've been he was snake bit there, but I like banking on coaches that are able to win at consistently in the regular season. Sometimes that March Madness can be a little bit of fool's gold. Obviously, you play for March and you want to win in March, but a guy that's been able to win 20 plus games in his 2 years there, he's a Washington guy. Big shoes to fill because Kyle Smith coming right off that round of 32 exit last year for the Cougs.
It was Sac State that beat Eastern Washington last year. And so former head coach of Washington State, Kyle Smith, is headed to Stanford. And the other Pac-12 team, Pac-2 team that enters the WCC here is Wayne Tinkle's Oregon State Beavers. You know, they went to the Elite Eight in 2021. Was that just lightning in a bottle for Tinkle, or can they kind of build something here in the WCC with a little bit more of an even playing field, as they do have an NCAA tournament appearance in 2016, also under Tinkle. So that's 2 NCAA tournament appearances in 8 years in his time in Corvallis. So I think there are a little bit less storylines to go around in Corvallis. But Mac, are you a Wayne Tinkle guy?
I love Wayne Tinkle. However, so literally everything I just said about David Riley at Washington State, this is the polar opposite, where you can catch lightning in a bottle, go to the Elite Eight in a bubble, and then go 3-28 the next year, 11-21, and then 13-19. So good news, it's positive trajectory potentially. They're out of the Pac-12. Obviously, the Pac-12 wasn't the best basketball conference, but they still did have good programs. UCLA was good. Arizona was good. USC with Andy Enfield. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how they fit. Tinkle, they need to win 20 games this year with going to the WCC, and then him not winning 20 since that COVID bubble year, because they've been a train wreck these last 3 years.
Yeah, I think 20 might be steep still for the Beavs. And I love me some Beavs. More on the short term, I guess. I forgot to mention this with Washington State. As you know, David Riley brings a lot of the Eagles from his squad last year at Eastern Washington. A lot of them here are following him to Pullman. So a winning squad that's used to playing with each other. And the top of the Big Sky to the middle/bottom of the WCC, is it much of a difference? Like, I know Gonzaga and St. Mary's and San Francisco at the top of the WCC is really good. But I think this Washington State team might be able to compete right away under Riley. Any more takeaways as we have these 2 new additions into the Pac-12? Do you think either one of these 2 programs are going to stunt the growth of some of the middling WCC teams that we've seen in years past, like a Loyola Marymount, Santa Clara? Those teams have had some spike years in the past. Are the 2 additions of Washington State and Oregon State going to stunt that?
Well, if you remember, and this is a touchy subject here on this College Experience Network, this is one of the more fucked up brackets, as Colby would say, because they get the double bye. Although I do see your side where you want to reward your regular season teams.
Yeah, because I'm pro to the multiple bye system.
I'm in the middle. I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I like having different tournaments be different styles, because that's what makes college basketball the way it is. It's nothing can be one shoe fits all, and then we want it to keep it the same. We don't want it to be corporate like the NBA. But I think what's unique is, if you're the 3 or 4, you have a single bye. If you're in that 5, 6, 7, 8 range, you're going to have to play on that first day, and you're going to have to win 5 games in 5 nights. While Gonzaga and St. Mary's have had the luxury of only having to win 2 to get to the dance. But it is unique, because for Wazoo and Oregon State, Gonzaga is basically Arizona. Tommy Lloyd comes down from Gonzaga to Arizona, basically runs the same program. And then St. Mary's has kind of been like UCLA over the last 4 or 5 years with Mick Cronin. So a lot of the same up top for Wazoo and Oregon State as they make the transition.
Yeah, I like the comparisons there, especially the Arizona Gonzaga one. Definitely seems like there is the strong correlation of Mark Few and Tommy Lloyd. Before we continue, first off, do you have anything else that you want to finish with before we get into the fun part of this episode?
I do have to get us paid. I have to do one part of that.
We're gonna do that in just a second here. But on the flip side, when we come back here on the college basketball experience, me and Mac are going to draft these teams heads up against each other, forming two different squads based on future performance over the next 5 years. So stay tuned here on the college basketball experience. But first, Moonoff and Chris, they are getting you ready for the NFL season on the Propcast. They got episodes dedicated to season-long props and awards markets, plus check out CJ Sullivan and his road to 10 million on Bottom Line Bombs. Tune in wherever you get your podcasts on the SGPN app. The college basketball experience is also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up today with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP at checkout. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictions have been red hot for WNBA and golf. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And we are back here on the college basketball experience. Noah Bieniek joined alongside Mac. And Mac, today we are drafting the WCC members, the new WCC members, all 11 of them, based on the likelihood of them having the most success over the next 5 years. Do you have any preference on draft order?
I mean, in this league, I think you kind of wanted to get the number one pick because I think there is a clear-cut number one. Even when everybody counts them out last year, they still find a way to get to the Sweet 16, and I think everybody knows who we're talking about. But I'm good. Whatever you want to do, man. Right. It's whoever takes the first pick on this one can get 2 and 3 on the next one. By the way, we have the
flip a coin
up next.
Heads or tails?
Heads.
Oh, I thought she was going to talk. My volume was down. It was tails.
All right. You can talk about the Zags.
Yeah, I'll take Gonzaga. And then
really
it's going to be Snake. It's going to be Snake. So you get 2 and 3. Picks 2 and 3 over there for you. But yeah, I mean, Mark Few is on autopilot with Gonzaga right now. I mean, 6 regular season conference losses in the last 5 years. I'll take that every single draft that we do. Luck of the coin flip, auto coin flip via Siri. Thank you, Siri. Mac, over to you on the 2-3 turn.
So, I mean, I kind of feel like everything you want to say about Mark Few and the Gonzaga program, you basically can say the same thing about St. Mary's and their program, just a slight level below. I mean, by the way, they won the WCC outright last year. So, and they shared it the year before that. They've won 26 plus games the last 3 years. They're kind of like Gonzaga, 7-8 years ago. They're just missing that deep run in March. Yeah. They've never, I believe, made it out of the. They got to Sweet 16 once, so they're just missing that Final Four to really validate them on a national scale. But like we've said multiple times, or at least I've said multiple times on the show, don't be tricked by what March Madness success. Because if you run a great program year in and year out, put yourself in position, you're going to break down that door eventually. We've seen it over and over with programs, like UConn and Dan Hurley the last couple of years. So, and the Zags, of course, in their league. So they were an easy number 2. At number 3,
First off, before you move, and I'll give you a little bit more time for number 3. I pulled a stat in case I had the number 2 pick in this draft. St. Mary's has had a top 15 adjusted defensive efficiency in each of the last 4 years. And also a good note here is like, yes, Augustus Marshallonis and Mitchell Saxon, both seniors. I don't know how they're going to formulate this year's starting 5, but at the point guard and center position, they're poised to have another good nucleus as Jordan Ross and Harry Wessels behind those two, respectively, look pretty good.
Yeah, it's they're a machine. They're just a tad like Gonzaga is A, they're B. It's really that simple. Kind of. I'm trying to
1A, 1B.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go 1A, 1B.
A clear 1,
yeah,
2.
Because Gonzaga's got, I think, 3 Final Fours now, or maybe it's just 2.
For what it's worth, on my big board, I did have both of these 2 in the top tier. Like I didn't separate Gonzaga and St. Mary's because recently St. Mary's has closed that gap.
Yes, and I think you can see it, how much level of respect they have for one another. Maybe that is Mark Few not really being the biggest portal guy in the world, and he did lose Tommy Lloyd. Things since Tommy Lloyd left to go to Arizona, maybe it's shrunk.
And Randy Bennett's not the biggest portal guy either. Both of these guys have done really well recruiting wise.
I know it's going to be interesting, but I still will. I agree with your Zags pick, so I'll take my Gaels out, and I'll beat you 1 out of every 4 years. So that's what I'm banking with St. Mary's in his program. Number 3 is an interesting one, man, because you could go a lot of different ways. Me personally, I landed between the 2 former Kyle Smith programs, which is ironic. I ended up going Wazoo, and the reason I went Wazoo is the old saying that Kyle Smith left it better than he found it. He left it better than he found it when he gave it to Todd Golden at San Fran. I think he's left this program in a good spot. They're going down technically in a way to a league, and I just think that David Riley's had the experience of taking over a program that was already successful, that was winning when his former boss moved on when they went to that NCAA tournament in the bubble, and he won, 23, 21 games, 44 in the last 2 years. He just hasn't had the postseason success. I think they're going to be a 20-plus win team again next year, and for years to come at Wazoo.
Yeah. So did Riley ever get to the NCAA tournament?
No.
At Eastern Washington? So he's still hungry. Like that's a good thing for this.
I agree with you. That's why I kind of like him. He's bringing his guys from EW, and we've seen that be successful. Whether it was the guy that just got the South Florida job, Abdur Rahim, last year, coming over from Kennesaw, Dennis Gates, year 1 from Cleveland State to Missouri. So that's
you would think Eastern Washington to Washington State, like big step up, like as you're going from Big Sky to Pac-12, but Big Sky to WCC, I don't think is that big outside of Gonzaga, St. Mary's.
All right, man. Well, you got 4 and 5.
Yeah, so I'm on the 4-5 turn. This is where it's interesting.
Good candidates.
On my big board, I actually, so you mentioned the 2 Kyle Smith schools, which, yeah, 100%. Those definitely deserve to be in the conversation. However, my second tier of schools, I let it off with Santa Clara. 3 straight winning seasons in the WCC under Herb Sendek, and 3 straight 20-win seasons as well with the Broncos. So I like Santa Clara for the next 5 years in this exercise. And then I'm going to follow it up at pick number 5 with San Francisco, just because you've seen it with Kyle Smith. You've seen it with Todd Golden, the 2 previous coaches here. Chris Gerlofson, he's had a really solid team the last couple of years, last 2 years. The first year he took his lumps as a head coach. But last year they were really good, and they gave St. Mary's a run for their money. They got stomped by, I think it was Gonzaga twice, but San Francisco was really showing some signs of being a real contender in the WCC last year. They were in the hunt with like 3 weeks to go last year.
Yeah, and I'll add to Santa Clara with Herb Sendek. I think also if you look at the trajectory of the program under him so far, his main success at Santa Clara has been the last 3 years in this portal era. So I think maybe whether it was his Arizona State stop or the NC State. I mean, he's coached at the high major level. Maybe they've gotten some guys drafted. I think he does better in this portal era just because of the different stops that he's had along the way in his career.
Yep, I agree with you. All right, you're up with 6 and 7.
6 and 7. This is where it gets good too. It gets good everywhere. All right. So they were in a Power 5 last year. I gotta take Oregon State. I mean, goddamn. I mean, they still have. I mean, nobody else other than Gonzaga has an Elite 8 in this league. So in the last 5 years, I don't know if Wayne Tinkle's the guy. But I think if they do go a different way next year, if he doesn't win that 20 games like I'm alluding to, I think that they can hire a quality coach. I still think Oregon State is a big enough name in a WCC where it's like, hey, man, if we get the right guy in here, Oregon State realistically should be that number 4. They just have completely bottomed out here over the last 3 years since the Elite 8. So I got to take a stab on Oregon State.
I agree with you there. I don't have any discrepancies against the pick. But I mean, being a good co-host, Gonzaga had an Elite 8 in 2023.
Yeah, I said besides Gonzaga.
Oh, I thought you said.
Yeah,
you said the only one in the last 4 years.
Yeah, no.
Gotcha.
The Zags are the only one that has had postseason success, and then I went,
which is not tremendous postseason success either. Just the 2 Elite 8s, 1 Final Four.
They've definitely underachieved. So yeah, I'm with you there. Big Tink, come on, man, pull out 20 wins, get this program going, and stay in Corvallis for another 10 years. There's nothing more than I would love than to see the Beavs get it rolling again. But this is a big year. They've been rated by the portal. Multiple guys going to high major programs now. So hopefully, because they're not a high major program anymore, unfortunately. So it's going to be interesting, but I do like them in the WCC at my number 6 pick. And number 7,
I got my fingers crossed, hoping for one of these to fall to me.
I'm going to go with the Toreros of San Diego. Steve Lavin, year 1, he takes over. It was a dumpster when he took over. 11 wins right away. Then the next year they jumped to 18 wins. They jumped from 9th to 5th. Lavin's won at St. John's. He's won at UCLA. This is a bank on the coach here. Give me Steve Lavin and the Toreros over the next 5 years to be my number 7 program in the WCC.
Yeah, my note on San Diego specifically was, yes, it was rough when he took over, but he hit home runs in the portal left and right. And I thought San Diego was going to be really good that first year. And I was kind of left disappointed a little bit. But a bunch of new pieces coming in, you can understand why it took them a year to at least have a winning season. So, yes, San Diego, I had them power ranked 6th. And now I am up with 8 and 9, right?
8 and 9, yeah. And how many do we have left? We have
5. We've got 5. So one team's going to be left out from our 2 teams, unless you want to take the leftover team
or
on your team without 13? The number 1.
I think. Wait.
No, there's 11.
Oh no, you are right. I can't do math.
So I'm gonna go to Portland at number 8. That's my 8th, number 8 overall. We're going to Portland. The Eastern Washington head coach prior to David Riley was Shante Legans, and he led the Eagles to 2 tournament appearances in his final 2 years there. So you hope that Portland can be able to build something there under him. And so I'm going to take them at 8. And then I'm going with Loyola Marymount at 9, just because Stan Johnson really hasn't been able to build that sustained success in the conference yet. He's had a couple of spike years, but I'm happy with the value that I get with LMU at 9. But that's my 8-9 turn there.
There's only 11 in this league.
Yes.
So there's only 2 left now.
Yes. My bad. I don't know if I was confusing
I was like, because I thought there was 12, and I go, wait a minute. I only see 2 teams left.
Yeah, I was saying there's 5 teams left earlier. That's my fault.
Loyola Marymount, so we'll kind of put them in the Oregon State of a potential that should be a little bit higher. I agree with you. Like, Stan Johnson, a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. I know Colby loves that team because of LePepe.
LePepe
But
is,
yeah, but like last year, it felt like they were turning a corner. 19 wins in year 3. Yeah, they were banged up, but you can't go 11 to 19 and back to 12. You got to sustain that success. So I'm with you. It's been a little bit underwhelming, inconsistent for the Stan Johnson era at Loyola Marymount. So that gets me, I guess I have 10 and 11. So, I mean, I think this is pretty easy. And there's a reason why these are the 2 new coaches in the league. Other than David Riley, he's a new coach for a different reason because they went to the tournament, Kyle Smith, and they got another job.
he was promoted up.
Yeah, promoted up. It's got to be Pepperdine, I guess, because Pepperdine was the one that beat Pacific by 1,000,000 last year.
Yeah,
The last time
that's
they
true.
played in the worst fucking college basketball game I've ever seen. Playing around, and it was like 60-0 at halftime.
That was the tournament, right? It was like 56 to like 9 in the first 15 minutes of that game.
Yeah, they beat them 102-43, and Pepperdine just had a guy drafted. Ajayi got drafted, I believe. So they had a pro on their team. Somehow they were 13 and 20.
Yeah.
But that's the Lorenzo Romar special of having the number 1 pick and finishing last in the Pac-12.
New coach over there at Pepperdine, Ed Schilling.
Yeah, and he when we went over the coaching carousel, I like that he's been an assistant the last couple of years for successful programs. An Alford guy, UCLA.
John Calipari too.
Yeah, and Grand Canyon as well over the last couple of years with Bryce Drew.
Yeah, he was with Calipari at UMass and Memphis.
Yeah, so I mean he got it rolling there, and then he was the head coach at Wright State way back in the early 2000s, and he didn't have as much success, but we see it all the time where guys are much better at their second go round. And I mean, shit, for a guy like this Schilling, that was 21 years ago. We talked about the different stops working for Cal at Memphis and UCLA and Indiana and then Grand Canyon. I'm sure he's a much better head coach, a much more prepared head coach this time around. And then I want to wish Dave Martz the best of luck this year as he takes on Pacific, the worst program right now in the WCC. Coming over from Texas Tech is what I got to say that I like. Grant McCaslin, and he ran a damn good program in Canada with Carleton University. So he won a lot of games at Carleton. If you look at his record, I think he was 591 and like 40.
He was there for like a decade plus.
Yeah, and he won. I mean, he was 98-3 in league play. 493 and 45 in league play.
That's even better.
64-1 in the last 3 years in league play. 591 and 48 overall. So he won 90+% of his games. Can he bring some Canadian talent down there to California and get Pacific going? We'll see.
For what it's worth, I didn't have Pacific last. I had Pacific 10th. I was a little bit higher on that.
Over Pepperdine?
Yeah, I was a little bit higher than Schilling.
What's the last time Pacific's had a winning season would be my question.
I'll look at Pepperdine. Pepperdine's been more recent, though.
I'm looking up Pacific year by year.
Pepperdine was 2021, which was like the half COVID year. They were 15 and 12. COVID year, they were 16 and 16.
Pacific went to the tournament in 2013. That's a plus. Pacific, they think I'm talking when I type it into Google. They think I'm talking about fucking the
Pacific Ocean.
Pacific Ocean. No, I want the basketball team. 1920, they were 23 and 10, so they had a good team that year.
Okay, I'm still going back a little bit of ways. Pepperdine was an NCAA tournament. The last time they were in there was 2002.
So I mean, what was the last time Pepperdine had the winning season?
2021, 15 and 12.
They're kind of similar. I mean, outside
right after. You want to know where Lorenzo Romar did after that winning season?
He's terrible. Oh God,
1 and 15 in conference.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, maybe you could flip them. I mean, we're talking about the basement. That's why we talk about every team on the college basketball experience. We're debating Pepperdine and Pacific. Which one's a better? I think you got to go with Pepperdine. They just won the last meeting by 70. That's the tiebreaker.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the tiebreaker.
Yeah. I
Oh,
mean, and plus it's Malibu, California over Stockton.
yeah. There's better places to live in California. Although Malibu's nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Malibu
Yeah,
over
you're right.
Stockton.
Yeah. Pepperdine. I'm not a California expert, but Malibu's better than Stockton.
I'll retweet that statement too.
All right, man. Well, that does it for our WCC portion of this. We got SEC coming up next.
Yeah, we got our feet wet with the WCC. Now we kind of know our pacing. We went 31 minutes on, I mean, good conversation with WCC in the offseason. Can't wait to talk about the SEC and some more conferences that are, under some turmoil and new changes coming in 2025.
Absolutely. And guys, like I said, we got Coach Ryan Peden of the Illinois State Redbirds coming on tomorrow. So make sure you're subscribed. Go check out all 134 college football experiences, Colby and company. And of course, Noah Bieniek over there at the college baseball experience are doing off-season stuff just like we
MLB
did.
draft this Sunday, July 14th.
There we go, baby. And of course, go check out the Big 12 experience. It's always Big 12 season. If you just ask me, media days are tomorrow. We'll be able to break down everything, and we'll be talking Big 12 hoops at some point. So, yeah, let's go, baby. This is the college basketball experience. I'm at Moneyline_Mac. He's at Noah B77. We are the college basketball experience, and we are out of here.